Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Britton, and I'm the focal point for the CARICOM Girls in ICT Partnership. Welcome to our 6th session in the CARICOM Girls in ICT Partnership STEAM Career Webinar Series, an initiative which is aimed at empowering young women and men with information to equip them in the digital age. The CARICOM Girls in ICT Partnership was endorsed by the CARICOM ICT ministers in 2019 and has undertaken a number of initiatives, including this one, to support the region's plans in making its citizens digitally literate. The partnership is committed to this series because reports and records continue to show us that women are underrepresented in STEM related fields globally, though we know that digital technologies underpin all we do in today's world. So it is important that we help to prepare the next generation by raising awareness and promoting STEM careers as useful and exciting for our citizenry. One of the other purposes is to open the space so that young persons and lifelong learners have a glimpse into the range of opportunities open to them for career choices. The research has also shown that it is best to start formal career education at about 8 or 9. So we've invited schools across the region, and we hope that some of them will join us today. Webinars, as you know, also offer a unique opportunity to learn directly from active and experienced professionals in their respective fields. Last week, we had 2 captivating gentlemen speakers who shared on the ecosystem of skills in the digital landscape and wide-ranging opportunities in engineering with an emphasis on civil engineering. Today, we have 2 compelling female speakers, but I will leave it up to our moderator today to tell you more about them. I will tell you a little bit about our moderator. Our moderator today is Tyrick Scott, who is a driven individual currently in his final year as a law student at the University of Guyana. In addition to these pursuits, Mr. Scott holds the position of legal administrative assistant and facilities manager at a 50-year-old reputable law firm in Guyana. He joins us today in his capacity as a youth volunteer for UNICEF Guyana and Suriname, where he actively contributes to initiatives supporting the well-being of children and youth. He has also earned the title of Child Rights Ambassador, demonstrating his commitment to advocating for the rights and welfare of young people. Mr. Scott is a continuously learning public speaker, passionate about youth development and mentorship, and is the dynamic force, creator and moderator of the De-Stress and Express podcast and online program, which is dedicated to educating and empowering young individuals in the art of public speaking and advocacy. Please join with me today in welcoming Mr. Scott, who will take us through the session today. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you for that warm introduction, Ms. Britton, but today is not about me. Today is about our dynamic female speakers. We are starting today with Ms. Bevon Charles, who is a visionary leader hailing from Grenada and is making her own waves in sustainable agriculture and community development. She has successfully founded Akata Farms, a pioneering enterprise which is harnessing technology and innovation to revolutionize agriculture and food systems, not just in her community, but beyond. She cultivated this passion for agriculture in the backdrop of Grenada, where agriculture and small businesses are the backbone of livelihoods. Her love for the land and her desire to drive transformation inspired her to initiate numerous sustainable development projects and acquire a diverse skill set in many fields, such as international business and trade, marketing, AI technology, and sustainable land management. Ms. Bevon Charles also holds the title of Global Ambassador in numerous fields. Her commitment to community development led to her establishment of the Academy of People's Empowerment, a non-governmental organization dedicated to empowering young people and women in her community. Ms. Charles, just before you start, I wish to congratulate you for winning the Commonwealth Youth Award in 2021. We are continuously proud of you as members of the Caribbean community. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that warm welcome and introduction. Thank you, Ms. Britton. We have been trying to get this thing going for a longest while, so I'm glad to have received your invitation and I'm glad to be here. Really speaking on two topics that I'm deeply passionate about. Let's just go right into it. So yes, I hail from Grenada. I am a business development expert. I'm a superpreneur, innovator, and community advocate. And today, I really want to take you on a journey that lies or ties the future of agriculture with the power of AI, technology, and most importantly, the potential for girls in STEAM, STEM, and STREAM, because I do believe research has to be involved in that equation as well. Technology is only as good as the minds behind it. And that is where our brilliant young girls come into play. And despite the potential that they hold, there are still a lot of barriers that we are seeing when girls are pursuing STEM in the STEM fields. And I want to just briefly glimpse into what are those challenges that we're facing. Underrepresentation, for one. Even though women make up half of the world's population, we are still significantly underrepresented in STEAM fields. According to UNESCO, only around 30% of our girl students select STEAM-related or STEM-related fields in higher education. So we see that there are a lot of potential there. We need to push our girls in those science fields and so forth. Another area we're looking at is the higher drop-off levels among women and girls in the STEAM fields. Many women drop out, especially in higher levels. And this results to a skewed representation where we see few women in top positions and senior roles. Of course, there's a bias in a lot of the stereotypes. Cultural, societal stereotypes can deter our girls from pursuing STEAM education and careers. From a young age, girls might receive messages that they're not good enough in math and science as the boys, and that these subjects are not suitable for them. And of course, in the area of agriculture, we know that there are a lot of barriers and a lot of disparities there. For one, limited land rights. In many parts of the world, women are limited and they have no rights to the land or even to inherit land themselves. And this poses significant restraints in ability to make decisions and to invest in advanced farming practices. Of course, there's limited access to resources. Women farmers often have less access to critical resources such as seeds and fertilizers and credits and training compared to our male counterparts. Of course, the cultural barriers is all over, in societies, even in agricultural space. It's not customary or even acceptable for women to interact with male dealers as we sell stuff, maintaining or even attending training sessions where men are present, or even to access or to use agricultural machinery. That is becoming something of a no-no. But you might wonder, why does this matter? Because to me, I believe diversity fosters innovation, and every unique perspective, every fresh idea that a young girl in STEAM can bring forward is a step forward for more sustainable and an inclusive future. But how do we overcome those disparities? And what are the solutions we need to start tackling? Of course, early education exposure is fundamental. Introduction to STEM and agricultural concepts early in schools curriculum is key. Offhand workshops, social fairs, cultural trips that cultivate the mind and interest, that dispel the myths about girls' capabilities. We need more mentorship programs, connect girls with women who are successfully navigating the STEM and agricultural space. When girls see role models that they can relate to, who look like them, speak like them, they are more inclined to envision themselves to step into similar roles. We need to foster more scholarships and funding, offer scholarships and funding opportunities that is targeted for our girls and our women pursuing education and projects in STEAM and agriculture. Of course, continuous training and workshop, organizing training sessions in the communities, encouraging our women and our girls And of course, these topics can range from modern farming techniques to technology application, agriculture, the list can go on and on. We just need to foster the capacity building and to ensure that in the rural communities that the women and girls have access to those information, have access to those resources so they can be part of it, no one left behind. Of course, we need to push more policy changes, advocate for changes in policy that restrict women land rights and access to resources, collaborate with more NGOs and governmental bodies and community leaders to create an inclusive agriculture and, of course, STEM framework. Of course, continue advocacy to raise awareness in our communities about the importance and benefits of our girls and women active participation in STEM and agriculture, and to share their success stories and highlight the economic and societal benefits of a more inclusive approach. And of course, we need to see more collaboration in with tech companies, engaging with the tech companies to develop agenda responsive tools and platforms that cater specifically to our goals in agriculture. I'm very biased for agriculture, but while these barriers face we are seeing these barriers are being shown at our girls in the STEM and agricultural space because they're deep rooted, and and it takes a concerted effort involving education and policy reform and community involvement and corporate collaboration to kind of pave a way for inclusive and equitable future. And this is how we empower the next generation. We've seen more coding workshops to add tech field strips, encouraging our girls to dive deeper into STEM and STEAM and STREAM. And it is more than just an educational endeavor. It is a mission to unlock and tap potential. We need to start getting our girls asking why, how, why, asking these questions and tinkering and making mistakes and able to be innovative and creative. And this is where the magic happens. At Akata Farms, we're pushing the boundaries of using and leveraging technology to transform the agricultural sector. We have women all over the world, young girls, young community leaders and advocates that pushing for AI-driven crop management tools. They're leading female-led startups in an innovative irrigation system all over the world, with female engineers, community farming, pushing community farming initiatives. That's all powered by all girls STEM clubs. I mean, I get goosebumps when I think about the energy and the innovative drive that these women and young girls are doing globally. And we want to drive that same energy and passion and innovative space in the Caribbean region. However, the road is not without its bumps. We know in all good things, there are always challenges. And from the stereotypes to the lack of mentorship to the many of the barriers that our women face, our young girls faces, there comes opportunities. I believe, if we look in our communities, as much as there are challenges, for every challenge, there may be 10 solutions, 10 opportunities. And this is opportunities for our businesses and our communities and our government to really make a difference. And of course, by providing the necessary resources, creating that enable environment that fosters that mentorship and foster that supportive catalyst that could drive change and drive that transformation. I always say, for agriculture and technology, those two are my passions, because I am envisioning an agricultural sector that is transformed. Imagine a field overseen by tech-savvy women, innovation driven by young girls who once dreamed of making a difference, and a world where the food security and sustainability is within our grasp. And there's a quote that I always hold dear to me. When we empower girls in STEM, we nurture innovators and and leaders of our future. And that is so profound, so profound. When people ask me what keeps me going, what drives me, I always envision a vast expanse of green fields and farmlands and agriculture that remains one of the world's most significant sectors. Yes, it's fraught with challenges, the turbulent weather patterns and pests and the limited resources and the traditional methodologies, but it's also filled with opportunities and opportunities brought by technological advances. And I can imagine a drone buzzing over our fields, capturing data about our soil moisture, or an AI algorithm predicting a pest infestation before it actually occurs. This isn't stuff of science fiction. This is the reality of today's agri-tech, and AI is changing that. It's changing our approach for crop predictions, pest control, soil health monitoring, even precision farming. And this is where the future of food production and sustainability lies. Agriculture is at this crossroads. And on one hand, we have time-tested practices handed down through generations that have fed and sustained our people for centuries. And on the other, we are on the verge of an ag-tech revolution. We're talking about AI and drones and digital solutions reshaping how we farm. But the real magic happens when we merge those two worlds. We cannot choose one over the next. It has to be combined and has to be married. When I started my journey as a farmer, I witnessed the challenges firsthand. I'm a second generation farmer. But deep within, I saw the potential for change. And I believe technology can be our game changer. My father taught me the love for land, eating what one produces. However, upon launching Akata Farms and several of our different companies, I knew in order to be successful, we have to use agriculture as a means to build an ecosystem for community development, for economic empowerment, for building stronger food systems that could sustain our generations to come. But it has to be done by leveraging technology, by taking risks, by harnessing the power of networks and advocating, and advocacy itself. Those were the key points there for that success. And I want to be a beacon for modern day agricultural innovation. Instead of just focusing on the challenges, I want to create a solution, and those solutions are technologically driven. Was first by really understanding what my community really wants and needs, and researching what solution already exists in the world and they impact in their own community or their own spaces. So research is very fundamental. We started with soil sensors, tiny devices that can relay real-time data about soil health, moisture levels, and nutrition content. Now we are evolving. We are employing AI-driven apps to predict weather patterns more accurately, allowing me as an entrepreneur to make informed decisions, not just for the development of the business, but in the production itself, but planting and harvesting. And these are crucial elements for any farmer. And as soon as, and then soon we're looking at drones now that buzzing over our fields and mapping out every inch of the land, identifying areas for potential risk, and we're talking about pest infestation here, but even assisting with the precise application of fertilizers or even the pesticides. And this is not just about my farm. This is about farms that we can really drive those innovation too. And we want to see more startups coming from the Caribbean, created within the Caribbean, and of course, women and young girls leading the charge. And of course, we're not limiting ourselves to our farms. We're recognizing the potential. We are creating solutions that can impact every farmer, conducting workshops and capacity building spaces for young women especially in the rural communities, because we have seen that while the urban areas are really focused on development, we really don't want to drive those in the rural areas down in the urban areas. We need to show them the benefits of their own spaces and to ensure that they can create their own opportunities in the rural area as well. So those are very key for us, especially at Akata Farms, where we build and we start new farms. Majority of our farms in the rural area, and that is very key for us. But as we reflect on the disparities and the challenges, we cannot lose sight of the vast potential that lies within each girl and every woman that is ready to take on the world. Picture a world where a girl who dreams of designing a rocket, engineering sustainable farms, or coding the next revolutionary app, feels empowered to do so, where their dreams are not just trifled but by outdated stereotypes and challenges, but are nurtured and celebrated. And every one of us, whether we are educators, parents, community leaders, entrepreneurs, peers, has a role in crafting this future, crafting that enable environment. And let's champion our girls who dare to ask why and how. to step out of their norm and who envision a better world through the lens of science and innovation. You know, we need to uplift our girls, we need to empower our girls, and we're not only just supporting their futures, but we're investing in the future for a brighter, more innovative, and profound transformative Caribbean space. Um, you know, I always get teared up when I talk about my background and my upbringing, very humbled and seeing the challenges that my father faces and the farmers in his space was a in traditional farming. And now we are on the verge of really transforming agricultural space, of showing them what could be done. And there is still hesitation because they only know the traditional way, because this what has sustained our people for centuries. But we need to break that divide. And I do believe that as younger as we go, as let's say from the womb, but but as young as we go from the schools, a young primary school level, we can able to educate our girls, educate our boys as well, to show them the possibility to exist. And despite coming from the Caribbean, it can happen. We can create solutions here that can market for global change, global impact. And I'm hoping here in Grenada we can definitely start seeing some STEM clubs, some high-tech level conversation discussions being happening in Grenada, where we can actually encourage young girls to start thinking and start asking questions and start making mistakes in the science spaces and questioning and thinking and disrupting that the normalcy of things and bringing forward the solution that we really need. To every girl out there with a curiosity in her eyes and her ambition in her heart. I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to look around you in your community and to see the issues, and you really, really want to make a difference. You really want to create a solution. But there's so much barriers, there's so much challenges, and there's so much you could do with the little resources that you have. So we need to create that space where our girls can feel empowered, that they could take something, a simple idea, and be able to create something that can solve uh, um, issues in our communities that have significant impact, that can change not just a household, not just a peers, not just a school, but the entire country, and of course the entire Caribbean, and why not the entire world? Because the world needs girls, the world needs us, and we need to encourage them to drive deeper, to dream big, and let us create a future where the sky is not the limited, but it's just the beginning. Um, so I will urge everyone, you know, if you know a young girl, to encourage her to think out of the box. Do not become normal. Do not become a statistics and be a disruptor and follow her dreams. And hopefully we can create a space where we could take those dreams and make it into big, bold, sustainable ideas. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful presentation, Miss Charles. As Miss Cole said in the chat, salute to the Black women who did the mathematics that sent men to the moon, and salute to you as well. Miss Charles, at this point in time, we're going to open the floor to questions, but just to get the ball rolling whilst people gather their thoughts. For you, Miss Charles, I am aware of your research into nanotechnology, so I wanted to ask you a bit of a two-part question. Firstly, how would you, in your ideal world, integrate nanotechnology into girls with STEAM? And the second part, how would you use nanotechnology to solve a problem, whether in the Grenadian community or the wider Caribbean community?
Yeah, I'm right now researching nano because I do believe when we talk about the future of food, nanotechnology, protein engineering, that is the focus that we need to start looking towards. So that's why I've been doing my research and that, tinkering and that, working along with universities to see where the research is heading. Um, I would love to see, to be honest, startups coming up in the Caribbean led by women in nanotechnology, definitely. To, you know, just even so uh, collaborating with universities here in the Caribbean region and just figuring out what the possibilities are. Nothing is proven unless it's tried. And I really want to see more of our girls getting involved in that area, nanotechnology, and creating startups, creating companies that is just not limited to the Caribbean space, but globally as well. And how does that nanotechnology intends to transform the Caribbean region? Food. When I think about food, And I think about how technology is changing the way that we live. Technology is not here to replace, it should improve. And what is going to happen, our time as humans is going to be so essential. We're going to be competing with these machines. And what is going to happen, this culture we have in the Caribbean, where we know we can cook on a Sunday, we know in our culture we have a household prepared meal. That might be something of the past. And what is going to happen? We'll be eating food on the go, and that is where that is where nanotechnology and protein engineering is going to come in. Instant food, though, yeah, it can be nutritious, but it's going to be instant in an auto chef, and boom, you have this cooked meal. That's how I'm going to see technology is really going to transform the way that we eat food, process food, even receive food. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Charles. Definitely answered my question. Of Ms. Britton in the chat asked, what would you say to agriculture teachers to help girls fall in love with the subject and the sector at large?
That's deep, because my love for agriculture came because I grew up in that space with my father. As young as I remember, my first memory was sitting on his shoulder, and we went to dig some yams with my cousin and so forth. Not everyone has that fortunate blessing to grow up in that space. What I would do encourage is that we have to start active programs in our schools. Whether it's preschool, they're learning about the nutrition cycle, and how questions like, why is plant green? What is the properties of chlorophyll? As young as 3 years thinking that where green come from, and how green contributes to our food. Why our trees consume oxygen in the night and not the day. Things like that. But these projects have to be interactive. They have to be started early in our schools, and allow them to question and to make mistakes and to enable them to innovate way of doing things. I'll give an example. Early this year, there was a brief call for school-based agricultural innovative projects in Grenada. And I remember during my community work, we went to this primary school, and I introduced them to the innovative project. And I said, what it is that you want to do. And they were talking about a backyard garden. And I said, well, okay, yeah, sure, but how can we innovative? How can we use what are the resources around us and create something innovative? And I said, let's create a little lab, a little hydroponics lab, but I want you guys to really focus on the nutrients itself that goes into that water. What can you use around you to keep our plants sustained? And things like that, projects like that, we have to encourage as young as they can. And of course, as they go older and older, we add on new levels of technology and research in that. But we had to start them early. Because I have 2 young girls, and they're in the farm all the time. So I know they always say, Mom, you're creating a company. Yeah, for them to eventually take it on, but for them, no, to love agriculture and to see it is not just about eating food, but using agriculture as a means to develop our communities, develop our people. And yeah, that's you have to start them up early. You have to start them as soon as it's the wean of the breast milk, we have to introduce them to agriculture.
You again, Ms. Charles. I'm just trying to get a question from the schools that we have within our midst as our last question with you today. Do we have anything from Better Hope Primary, Bell West, any of the other schools?
No.
Feel free to turn on your mics and ask any questions that you might have of Ms. Charles. You don't know when's the next time we'll see her. She's a very busy woman in this field, as we've heard.
If there's no question, maybe I could just end off with some encouragement. I had apart from my father showing me the ins and outs of agriculture, my primary school was very instrumental in shaping that mindset. The teachers there, we had a backyard garden. We as 9-year-old, we were slaughtering our own birds, and those agriculture produce fed our school kitchen. But I think first we have to really understand our teachers need to mold our students in a sense of letting them realize the possibility of agriculture. How can agriculture develop the space, the communities themselves? And having that discussion with them, you get the mindset going. And that's where you can create projects, very interactive projects with them. And by doing that, you're able to stimulate the mindset, get them to think. We have a problem where we think you have to be out of school to start a business. I remember a couple of years ago, there was a 9-year-old in Grenada having a small, successful poultry farm. And I was like blown away, 9 years old. How does he manage that plus his school? And he was very, very studious in school, top grades. But how did he manage running a successful business, his school life, and of course he's 9 years old. But it helps build that strengthen responsibility, help strengthen the mindset and get them in that that spirit to create businesses and be innovative. And that is what we need in the Caribbean. Age should not limit us at all.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Charles. I believe that is a beautiful end to a beautiful presentation. In keeping with my last statement about us not knowing the next time we'll see you, we're just asking you to stay until the end or as long as you can. People may have more questions as they feel more comfortable. But once again, thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course, always a pleasure. Moving right along into our next presenter for today, we have Miss Alicia Colon. I do hope I'm pronouncing that right. She is the operations manager at STEM Guyana Incorporated. She has expertise in program management, monitoring, evaluation, and coordination, especially in the environmental sciences and climate change sector. Before she became affiliated with STEM, she did intern at the Department of Environment Data Management Unit in Antigua. She served as a mitigation and GIS apprentice, part of the National Coordinating Team for the Initiative of Climate Action and Transparency Project, where her responsibilities included engaging with regional and international stakeholders to develop a GHG mitigation modeling tool for Antigua and Barbuda. She has also served as a full-time science teacher for the Ministry of Education from 2015 to 2018, and she holds a master's in biodiversity conservation and sustainable development from the University of West Indies in Trinidad, a PGDIP in secondary education, and a bachelor's in general biology. Ms. Colon, we want to wish you all the best as you represent Guyana at the upcoming COP28 International Climate Conference, and as you go forth to become a speaker at the upcoming regional conference, for which I'm forgetting the acronym at this time, but we wish you all the best. Ms. Colon, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And it's Alicia. But you did it well the first time. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'm going to share my screen just to start off my presentation. So just let me know when you're seeing my screen. Can anybody let me know if they're seeing my screen? Maybe just by unmuting, because I can't. Okay, great. All right, so thank you guys for having me so much. I feel like the bio sounds like a lot of words and a lot of sciencey terms and so on, but I'm a simple girl from very, very simple background and simple beginnings. Just like Ms. Charles stated in her initial presentation, she came from very humble beginnings. I come from one of those underrepresented place in Guyana. Those of you on the call who are Guyanese might be familiar with Sophia. And when I was younger, when I was raised there, and during my time living there, there was no electricity for a number of years. So I went to school without no electricity, without no power, very, very, poor background, humble beginnings, essentially. So it's really, really empowering to be here, to be able to share my journey with the persons on the call, especially young people from the schools who may be listening and, may not be sure what they want to do with their future, what they want to do with their life, might be feeling demotivated, might be feeling restricted because of where you're from. You may hear from people around you all the time that, you come from this community, nothing can come from it. People put all sorts of stigma on you, and it's really interesting to share with you that there's hope and you can come out from that. So I'm just going to share a bit of my journey to how I'm here. So originally I went to Bergdam Secondary. I didn't went to all the QC or bishops or anything like that. I went to a regular secondary school, and I then studied biology at the University of Guyana. And during that time, in my final year, I interned with CARICOM as a research assistant. And this is where my passion began for the environment. I never really knew I was doing the biology degree, but I wasn't sure if it was something that I wanted to do long term. I was just kind of figuring out what to do with myself, what to do with this degree. But after interning with CARICOM, I realized that I really do like research. I like handling and dealing with species. If you can see in the pictures, there's a moth. It was a drunk moth there. He had all the cashew on the tree, and I think he was a little bit drunk. And then, handling bats, handling birds, different species. And then I graduated from the University of Guyana. And, as a woman as a young woman now starting to get up in the journey in the sciences, there was limited job opportunities for me. That was one of the biggest things. There wasn't much for me to do. I felt very restricted. I felt suffocated. I didn't know what to do. And so I decided that I would go and start teaching. That was one of the options that was available to me. So I went ahead and I started teaching. And I will tell you that when I started teaching science at secondary school, I did not like it. I wanted to quit immediately. But in the words of the young people, the bills got to pay, so you got to continue somehow. But after some time of doing that, like within my first couple of months or close to 7 months or so, I realized the passion that I have. And I realized that I was always a teacher before I even became a professional teacher, because I was always helping some young person with the homework, with SBA, whatever, and encouraging people who's from the same community as me, and to do more with themselves, and supporting them and so on. So I went ahead and said, okay, well, since I have this passion for helping, I will go and do my postgraduate diploma in education, focusing on science methodology. And I did that in 2016, and I graduated in 2017. I want to let the young people know that when I did my undergrad biology, I did not graduate with any exemplary grade. I just graduated because I needed to get out of university. I just didn't want to stay back and have to spend more money. So I just graduated. And sometimes you're in this field and you feel like you're not performing so well, and everybody has distinctions, and but you can do more for yourself even when you're feeling like you're not doing enough. So I just wanted to reiterate that, because I graduated and I was trying to get scholarships. I couldn't get scholarship because my GPA was so low, right? And eventually my quest for looking for scholarships to do my master's, because of course I don't have the money to self-fund myself to do, go and do my master's. And it came in the form of a friend of mine telling me about the ECAM scholarship. And I applied. I didn't want to, but I applied and I got it. And that's where I gained my master's in biodiversity conservation and sustainable development. And all expenses were paid by by ECAM. And they covered my tuition. They paid for me to stay in Trinidad, my housing and everything. So I was thinking how very blessed I was to receive that. And that was the breakthrough that I kind of needed to support me going forward into my professional roles. What I already told you, I was a science teacher for 3 years at Kingston Secondary School. And then when I came back to Ghana, I was once again disillusioned, because I'm working again. I came back to Ghana and I wasn't getting jobs. You come back with a master's degree, you're expecting to be welcomed with open arms, but that is one of the things, and that's one of the challenges in the STEM field. Opportunities are limited. So I came back and COVID hit. Jobs weren't around, and I just started to do research, and I found Antigua and Barbuda Department of Environment. I interned there for 3 months. And then after the 3 months, they told me that they wanted me to stay on to do an apprenticeship program, which was a year. Initially, the apprenticeship, I was supposed to be in Antigua and Barbuda, but due to COVID and restrictions and so on, they decided that they will work with me remotely, I was so honored, because it was to last for 6 months, and then they decided, okay, we're gonna add on 6 months, 6 more months. So I was an apprentice there for a year, and during this year, it really helped me to develop my my professional skills, my technical skills, and also just work in an environment that, like a regional environment, and dealing with international stakeholders and so on. So it really built a lot of skills for me. And then when that ended, I was once again in the pool looking for a job, not sure what I was going to do, not sure where I was going to go. And I applied to STEM Guyana to do some work there. I applied simply on the basis, I always tell the director that, I applied on the basis that I knew I was going to get through. But it just so happens that when I applied as a program analyst, within the first year or so, just the passion behind what they're doing and what they're supporting and the vision and so on, it propelled me to do more for the organization. And within a year, I was promoted to the operations manager at STEM Guyana. And now I'm currently, while I'm doing I'm occupying the position as operation manager, I was also selected as International Youth Climate Delegate to attend pre-COP, which I'm actually have to go directly after this call. I'm heading to the airport to attend that, and then COP later on in this December of this year. That's just a little bit of my background and some of the skills I gained from that. Data collection, management, technical report writing, project management, and so on, and some of the soft skills as well. Some of the challenges that we face as girls and women in STEM or STEAM are, like Ms. Charles said, gender bias. There's this thing where there's a stereotype of just men should occupy technological field, only men do it. I mean, you're conditioned from the time you're a young girl to hope to be a doctor or a lawyer, but they never talk about any kind of engineering job, or a mathematician, or, somebody who's doing programming or whatever. That's always aligned with men. And so we need to somehow try to break that gender bias. And then even if you do go into it, you have to fight with unequal pay, lack of opportunities. You head into STEM, you realize that there's limited opportunities. There's lack of representation, lack of female role models in the field. So of course, the gender bias remains, because as young people coming up, they see purely men in this field. So they feel like it's a male field, and they don't want to go into that. And also women and young girls, if they do get into that field, sometimes they're the sole person in that organization. Maybe they're an engineer, they're the sole female engineer in that organization. You have to deal with being kind of talked down to, dealing with sexual harassment and assault. And these are all things that young girls and women have to deal with when they enter into the field of STEM. So it's so important to have us do, because we have to work towards breaking that stereotype. We have to just break that stereotype to really overcome that gender bias, to emphasize that women and girls can occupy this space. We need more representation to that. We need to see more girls in science, more women occupying. We need to present more women and talk more about women who did the work, who were there before us, who faced all these challenges before us, and really encourage young people, like talk to them more about it. We need to encourage curiosity as well, as a teacher, as an educator, whatever you're doing. And if you have kids of your own, you need to encourage curiosity from young girls into these fields, and not simply restrict it and say, oh, this is for boys, or, you need to build that encouragement and that curiosity in them. And we need to build a generation with technology competence. When we have a generation that has technological competence, we can solve more problems, we can create more solutions, we can become more innovative. We want to be a gender inclusive society. And so I don't see anything negative that could come from more persons, both male and females, but specifically women occupying a space that is predominantly male. It's just more person with the capacity to do more. And also we want to ensure that we can benefit as a country. I mean, Guyana just had recently installment of the oil and gas industry. And so most of the jobs that are going to come from that are going to be in the STEM field. And how do we balance that? How do we get expertise in that field? We're lacking sorely. And so the more persons we get involved, the better. And we need women to kind of align and join and be a part of this, because they will also get to benefit, and this ultimately will benefit national development. And so these are things that we need to look at. You know, we need to start telling the children in school about this, you know, telling girls to take up space, because otherwise we will not have that opportunity, and they will take persons from outside of Ghana to occupy those positions, and then we would be you know, kind of selling ourselves short there. So we want to benefit from those opportunities. Now, I want to tell you a bit about STEM Ghana and why programs like STEM Ghana is super important for pushing women and girls in STEM and just generally developing STEM curiosity. If you look at the graph there, it's showing the percentage of working age population by level of education completed. And you can see that most of the working population are persons who completed their primary education, a small percentage who completed their upper secondary education. And then if you go farther on, you see it kind of just keeps going down. That is what we're working with currently in Guyana. So we have to work towards programs like STEM Guyana helps to prepare young people to strengthen their literacy skills so that they can do better, so that they can compete, so that they can do well in the core subjects like math, English, science. We offer coding, robotics, kind of classes in math, English, and science. So these are all things that helps to develop young people and also build curiosity. A lot of persons might not be familiar with coding. It's not something that is in every single school. You might not have robotics. You might just hear the word. You're not really sure what it is. But these are all programs that help to build not just your technical capabilities, but it helps to stir up curiosity in young people. So even if they're not sure what they want to do, when they get into this field, it's exploring a completely different thing. And then they decide, oh, I want to do this. Like, you find so many things that you can do. And you know, you develop that curiosity, you develop options, you develop, you start to do research. You know, it helps you to develop problem solving skills. If you have a robot and you need to build something, to solve something, you need to sit there and think. You need to think critically. You become more confident as you build stuff, as you code stuff, as you create. You're becoming way more confident, and you're working in teams. You're learning how to collaborate. You're learning how to innovate these programs. When we have competition, this is essentially what we're doing. We're trying to build on those skills. So not just the technical skills, but also these are kind of the soft skills that are needed to compete globally, internationally, regionally, wherever you go. And any profession that you take on, you will need these skills to kind of just stand out in your workforce. And that's what STEM Ghana do. And I just wanted to show pictures. Currently, we have about 40 learning pods, and the learning pods are essentially little areas or spaces where the children go and they learn math, English, and science. And then they also get a chance to engage with the robotics and coding. And essentially what STEM Ghana really is trying to do is just bring tech education to the Guyanese youths, because we understand that it's necessary. We need to kind of put our foot on the pedal now and kind of start moving towards getting the children more technologically inclined. And this is super important. So that's what we do. And we have 40 pods where we do that. And then we have STEM clubs as well, where they engage more in technological activities. They do more robotics building and coding and so on. And these are just some of the areas. If you notice, some of the schools, I don't know if any of the schools are online, but we do have in some of those locations that I see online, we have in region 2, 4, we have actually in all 10 of the regions of Guyana. And the critical outcomes for our success at STEM Ghana is we ultimately train the young people, not just, like I said, technically they develop skills, but also we develop their soft skills as well so that they can compete globally, regionally, and nationally. And if you see in the picture, you can see recently we had a team of all girls that went to compete in Singapore, and it was over 191 countries, and we placed 23rd. And I think that was a massive, massive feat considering the limited sponsorship, considering that these girls are very new to this type of thing. You know, they work very, very hard. Many nights they were up just trying to build their robots. And it gives them a sense of, you get to go and you get to meet so many people globally. You get to interact at such a young age. You're going on the global stage and representing Guyana. And this definitely boosts your self-confidence and develop your skills and so on. Learners also improve their math score, they do research for themselves, they improve communication. From time to time, we always have some of the youths from our programs to go in front of a camera and talk about themselves or talk about what they like. And this is big because we're trying to break that cultural barrier that says that you can't speak or you should be shy or whatever. We want to emphasize the need for them to speak up, the need for them to promote themselves, the need for public speaking, the need for all these skills. So we encourage it massively at our programs. So finally, how do you want to get involved in our work? There's much more that we have in store. There's so much more that we're doing. And I want to encourage those online who may be interested to come and be a part of it. It's exciting. I mean, I'm still learning. I learn every day. The young people teach me. Some of these 6-year-olds, they stand and they build their robots and they're teaching me how to do that. I don't even know how to do it. I'm still learning, and it's just a rich journey. And if you want to be a volunteer, maybe you want to support, maybe you want to open your own STEM club as well, this is information on the screen. You can send an email to stemguyana@gmail.com, or you can contact me on the number on the screen. But you know, we're doing a great thing. We're doing a big thing. I spoke to persons from IDB who came in to see some of our pod location, and based on what the guy was saying, he was saying there's not such a complete or a thorough program in the Latin America. I believe we may have some in the Caribbean as well, but you know, it's just a big deal. It's a big thing, and it's really encouraging. We talk about wanting more women and girls to participate in STEM or in the STEAM field, and this initiative I think is really good towards gathering their curiosity, and for them to want to learn more, for them to you know, just get an idea or a sense of what they want to do. We have persons from this program who are now studying aeronautical engineer. We have persons who are working offshore with the oil and gas industry, persons who are there from since they were babies and now they have careers in STEAM. And some of the girls also, a lot of the girls also are part of this. So just want to encourage everybody on the call to someone asked earlier how to engage persons in agriculture field. Well, I'll say to engage young people generally in STEM field is they need to see, I think the main thing is representation. They need to build that curiosity. They need to see something that works, that looks fun, and it doesn't just look challenging, because most times when children they associate science, technology, maths, and those things as it being something very difficult. So we have to figure out ways to make it not be difficult and make it seem fun, just like how you have the robotic kit. Now that is a whole process behind it. Children don't even understand when they're interacting with that robotic kit and they're building things and putting it together. They're utilizing so many different skills. They don't understand that. To their mind, they're just building stuff. But it's so much more than that, and it surpasses that. And so as educators or people on the call who are interested, I think one of those things is just to gain curiosity, do things that will encourage them to be curious, and to make the learning fun. Make it fun. It shouldn't be a tired task, or it shouldn't be something that is so exhausting that they don't want to do it. And those are my 2 cents. I thank you once again for having me on the call. I will stay on for a little bit longer, just about a minute or 2, because I am running a bit late, but I thank you so much for having me on.
And thank you for being with us, and thank you for the beautiful presentation. We do have a question in the chat that you can get to really quickly. We understand that you're rushing off to the airport. Joyce asked the resources or assistance available for starting a coding club in Antigua.
So, see, well, our program runs mainly on just our collective ideas. But I would say first and foremost, you would need finances. You would need financial contribution or funding from maybe an organization that has interest in what's going on. And then you probably would need to start developing plans, like standardize your work, have an idea of what you're hoping to present, what you're hoping to give to the children, what is it that you're trying to achieve? Because it's not just, they have to have some sort of structure and consistency to whatever it is you're doing. And that plays a big part in their learning. So I wouldn't be able to say specifically what resources you can have. Because I think for our program, we collectively just come together and come up with ideas. We have a team that sit together and plan out everything, decide what to do next, and so on. And that's very specific to our program. But I will say that if you have a team of like-minded people who are interested in doing that, you come together, develop sort of like a plan of what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and standardize your work so that the children can have consistency. So if they come today and they do this today, then they know tomorrow when they come, they have this other thing to do. And it's not like they do different things different days. It's just more standard. It's more structured. You can personally develop your own lessons or your own plans. Our curriculum and everything is developed online. So they come online, they log in, they have access to lesson plans, and the lesson plans kind of tell them what to do, how to build whatever, put this together, put that. So there's literally like a guidance for it on our website. And that's pretty much how we do it.
For that once again, and thank you for being here. Joyce responded and said that she's done her groundwork. She started, so I believe that your advice will help get her on her way. Thank you for the general presentation for all of us today, for highlighting the importance of research, gender inclusivity, etc. We do appreciate you taking the time, as well as Ms. Charles. We can see that girls in STEM are well represented by the two of you, and that both of your organizations were well represented today. So thank you once again for coming out. Ladies, Ms. Colin, we understand that you must leave us, and parting is such sweet sorrow, but we are very grateful that you took the time, and we hope to see you again. Ms. Charles, we are still waiting to see if there are any further questions coming in for you. I don't know if you have any final words, thoughts, comments on Ms. Colin's presentation, anything to add?
Sorry, I'm muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you spoke, Ms. Colin, I mean, you touched me. I can relate to some of the challenges, trying to figure out how to go to the next level, especially trying to get scholarship and so forth. I knew that. I applaud you for the work that you're doing in Guyana. I'm hoping we can collaborate, because I really want to start some STEM clubs in Grenada. We have some resources. These are key strategic areas that our government is really pushing. So as much as we can get them going and we could support the government, that is going to be great. So let's reach out, let's connect. I'm also going to be in CARP as well, so we will definitely push that Caribbean power there. But definitely, thank you so much. It was, yeah, we are doing stuff in the Caribbean, and we need to represent more to show our goals that things are being done, we are leading the charge, and that we are breaking the barriers. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna leave now, but thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. And with that, we have come to the end of today's webinar. Thank you once again, Ms. Charles, and thank you once again, everyone, for coming out and showing your support, whether by participating, asking a question, or simply your attendance. We do appreciate having you in the room. At this time, to give our vote of thanks and to give a little bit of preamble for the next webinar, I'll hand you back over to Ms. Britton. And once again, thank you to the presenters, and thank you to everyone for being here. Ms. Britton.
Thank you so much, Mr. Scott. And thank you, ladies. I think I saw people nodding and clapping and doing thumbs up as you spoke. It was a very rich session, and we thank you for taking time off, even as you run to a plane. Today, we see the resilience and the commitment of women. I think we got so many good points. I can't sum them all up, but I was intrigued and continue to be engaged by encouraged curiosity. There was somebody said, I think it was Bevon said, be mindful of the messages that girls receive and how we share them. Research is important. The need for STEM clubs, diversity forges innovation, help girls to ask the why and the how. And I think those of us who are in the stream and trying to do some type of mentoring need to stop to answer their whys and their hows. And how do you educate girls in STEM and looking at all the opportunities there. So lots of rich material. I thank you, ladies, for the preparation. Obviously, you spoke from your hearts and your soul. So it is my pleasure on behalf of the persons gathered here and the partnership to really thank you for your contribution today. And we hope that you will stay in the conversation with the partnership as we continue to roll out policy and plans which deal with bringing girls and boys to STEM. We'd like to thank our moderator, Mr. Scott, who is a UNICEF volunteer. We thank him for taking the time as well. As usual, we thank all the people who helped you pull yourselves together as presenters and moderator. And we thank those who are the wind beneath our wings, University of the West Indies, the partners in the partnership, several people in the secretariat, Ms. Utica Alves, who does all our flyers, etc., making sure that you get the information in time. We will be here for the next 4 Fridays, and I promise you that each one will be as exciting as the last. So next week, I think we are going to have an advocate talking about energy and energy transitions, and a doctor who is a medical dentist talking about forensic odontology. Very interesting subjects, and I hope that you'll join us. Tell all your teachers, tell all your friends, and we look forward to joining you again in this room next Friday at 12 o'clock Guyana time. Take good care, have a good weekend, and next week is November, so this has brought us to the end of October almost, and so our November sessions are 4 more, and we look forward to being and seeing you and working with you next week and receiving all the good information. Thank you again, and take good care. Bye-bye.